Hey guys, this is Leeza. So recently I asked on my Insta stories for you guys to send in topic suggestions for my YouTube videos, and I said I would make a video out of one of them. So I've decided to talk about how to deal with toxic people because I got several messages asking about this. So I hope you guys find this helpful, and thank you for sending in all your topic suggestions. Now, most of us at some point or the other have probably had to deal with a toxic person. And the thing about toxic people is that given their outward role in your life, like they could be your friend or colleague or family member, because they're meant to be supportive and nurturing, and that's what you're expecting of them, you're kind of giving them much more time and energy than you would if they were just a stranger, right? They're supposed to be a supportive part of your life, but the thing is, they're not. You're expecting their intentions to be in your best interest, but instead they are judgmental and critical and manipulative. They make you feel self-doubt and anxiety, and yet because their role in your life, because they are your friend or your co-worker or your parent or sibling or whatever it is, because of that, you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. Instead of trusting your instincts that this person isn't good for you, you keep letting them make demands on your time and energy, because when the toxic person succeeds, what they do is they convince you that you are the problem, when in fact, they are the problem. And that's exactly why they're toxic. But it can be hard to identify this because often you're so caught up in the situation and you're seeing it from such close quarters that it can be difficult to kind of identify that you're in a situation where the person is toxic for you and you've got to do something about it. So I thought today I'd just talk about a few signs that could indicate that you're dealing with a toxic person. So one of the first signs is that you dread meeting them, even though they are always looking for opportunities to meet you. And these feelings of dread and fear can be so debilitating and really sort of take over all your energy and all your feelings of positivity. So if there's a person who's supposedly close to you, but you actually dread spending time with them, like let's say an in-law who's always subtly putting you down, or a colleague that's always trying to take credit for your work. If you have such a person in your life, and then suppose you're supposed to go for an event, a family function where you're going to meet that in-law, or an office event or meeting where you have to deal with that colleague, and if in the hours or even days leading up to that, if all you can think about is, oh my God, I have to meet this person, I hate meeting this person, you probably have a toxic person on your hands. The second thing is that you become consumed by self-doubt, because toxic people can be so insulting and so critical and so judgmental, but they're so good at it that sometimes they make you question your own self-worth. I once had a toxic friend that was so resentful of my work and any success that came my way that she would say the most hurtful things. She'd say stuff like, ever since you moved to Bombay, you've become an airhead and you only care about money and you never make time for your friends. And she'd say this stuff in a way that would make me feel so small, like I was such a bad person. And I would keep putting in so much effort to sustain the friendship, but then I realized that it was just never good enough for her. And it was her that had this weird and unhealthy relationship in terms of our friendship, and that there was really nothing I could do to change it. And it can be so hard dealing with this type of thing when it's coming from a friend who you really are trying hard to care for. It can even be harder when it's coming from someone whose opinion you're programmed to value, someone like a boss or a parent or a teacher. When people in those positions are toxic and try and make you feel small and insecure and inferior and constantly put you down, that can be so hard because it's really, really difficult to shake off those feelings of self-doubt and inadequacy that they work so hard to stir inside you. So if you have someone in your life who's constantly putting you down, they're probably a toxic person. And instead of engaging with that toxic person, you've got to just keep reminding yourself that your self-worth cannot be determined by someone else, regardless of who they are. Another sign that you're probably dealing with a toxic person is that you don't feel in control of your emotions. Like if every time you meet this person, you automatically start to feel anger or rage or fear or anxiety, and you constantly blame them for how you feel and how you behave and the things that you do, then you're probably dealing with a toxic person, because as far as possible, you should really be accountable for your own actions and in control of your emotions. But when a toxic person manipulates you, that's exactly what they want. They want to be able to control how you feel. Don't let a toxic person push you to do things you don't want to do or feel ways you don't want to feel. No one deserves that power over you. Instead of placing blame on the toxic person for how you're spending your time, Take full responsibility of your time and your actions. They're yours and you can choose what you do with them. So only do what you want to do. Restrict your interactions with them, learn to say no and say it often. And just take back control over your emotions. So the fourth sign, and this is perhaps the most sort of intense sign that you're probably dealing with a toxic person, is when you're tempted to stoop to their level. It's when they have infuriated you so much that you think you should resort to their own tactics in dealing with them. For example, if the office gossip has said something outrageous about you, it can be really tempting to start a rumor about him or her. Or if you have a relative or friend that just keeps undermining everything that you work really hard to achieve, it can be really tempting to lash out and say something just as hurtful to them. But stooping to their level is a supremely unproductive way to deal with the situation, because it will only result in a greater loss of your precious time, energy, and peace of mind. In my experience, the only way to deal with a toxic person is to just not play the game. Like, you just have to keep telling yourself you're so much better than that, and you are going to just cut them out of your life instead of engaging with them. And I know it can be hard, but I think truly the only way is to restrict interaction with them, really create boundaries and ensure that you don't let them overstep those boundaries, and ensure that your well-being and your sanity is at the heart of the equation. I mean, how much can you just keep giving, right, to someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart? You have got to just have the discipline to realize that this is something you have to do for yourself, and then just cut those ties. I really don't think there's any way to deal with a toxic person productively other than by simply not engaging with them. I definitely think that it is very beneficial to learn to stand up for yourself and to prioritize your own emotional needs, because I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. How much bullshit can you take? Just say no to that shit. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a big thumbs up if you did, and if you want to share your experiences with toxic people or how you deal with them, please do so in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. As always, I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.